Coming into the insurance industry, $60,000, it's kind of like the norm for a top producer. You know what I mean? There's guys doing 150,000 a month, So when I saw those numbers, it's like, hey, if I can even do half of what they're doing, right now I'm on pace to make $500,000 just off my own pen and paper, and show me where you can go do that, elsewhere and actually have the deposits.
Everybody, Grady Polson, the American Agency Beyond Excited. I have Frankie Parillo on with us today, joining us live from Tampa. Has a crazy background. I don't know how detailed you want to get on your first jobs to where you are today, but it was great, chatting with you. Jay sings your praises. Your numbers don't lie. And I know you've looked at a few different opportunities, and finally, as you said yesterday, you finally found home. And home to a large level is that you've put up nearly 120,000 issue paid in the first 2 months you've been here with us. So, what's the old line? Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. And to see you putting that up is only a testament to our opportunity, to leads, but to your discipline and commitment to this business. So I'd love if you take a few minutes and, share with us your background, your story, how you found insurance, and then ultimately how you settled on FFL.
Yeah. So, I'm 25. I've been in the sales industry since I was about 21 years old. I was actually in a gentleman's club, handing out napkins for people using the restrooms and, spraying cologne bottles and all that good stuff, getting tips and, slowly transitioned, got recruited into the door-to-door industry. I worked over, selling alarms, traveling state to state, knocking in hot summers and all that nonsense. And I wasn't getting paid my worth, I was probably making, north of $70,000 in 4 months, which is awesome, knocking doors. But slowly transitioning out of that, I saw all these people making money, through the insurance industry, and the leads that everyone has right now isn't what it used to be years ago. You had people still submitting 50, 60, $70,000 of issued paid business every month, just dialing aged leads. Now the resources that we have, it's unlimited. So I actually tried, insurance here and there, bouncing back and forth, not getting paid my worth. Ran into Jay Masca and Blake Davis, who's now my upline. And I actually came into this opportunity a few months ago. I was dead broke, down to my last paycheck. I knew I had the drive, and I knew that I had like the sales skills. I knew that I had to pull the trigger on investing into my own business. And I spent about my last $2,500 on leads, and high intent leads, awesome leads, no complaints, and haven't looked back since. $60,000 is the bare minimum right now every month. I'm growing a team at a fast rate. I guess you could say like momentum's the name of the game in the industry. And right now, I have the momentum, and we're not looking back. We're only looking forward.
So how long did you sell alarms for?
Sold alarms for 2 years, and I grew one of the biggest alarm teams in the industry, that was producing multiple seven figures in a summer.
Got it. It's all summer door knocking, basically.
All summer door knocking out in Denver, the heat, 105 degrees. Yeah, it was brutal.
So, and then did the business soften? Did the comp plan change? Did a lot of your guys get into other industries? How do you do that well? And then it kind of I'm just curious, how does it fizzle? Because there's a lot of people that watch these that have been successful, and then they take a dip, and then they think they can't recreate it. And here you're recreating it again. So I always try to find what happened, and then where did the redemption come from?
Well, I guess in the door-to-door industry, it's a lot of like a huge turnover rate, way more than the insurance industry. There's no longevity. You can't really scale a business that's gonna, maybe there's a few here and there that truly become successful longevity wise, but you can't produce $60,000-$70,000 consistently knocking doors unless like you're okay with being out in the heat for 12, 14 hours a day, grinding till you can't walk anymore. So, coming into the insurance industry, $60,000, it's kind of like the norm for a top producer. You know what I mean? There's guys doing 150,000 a month, So when I saw those numbers, it's like, hey, if I can even do half of what they're doing, right now I'm on pace to make $500,000 just off my own pen and paper, and show me where you can go do that, elsewhere and actually have the deposits, and to see what FFL has done for me, in the past 2 months, I have over $80,000 in my bank account. I can't find that anywhere else. So I'm so grateful to be here right now.
That's awesome, man. We're grateful to have you, man, and your clients are grateful, and it's a testament to your discipline and hard work. And it's also, you spent 2 years building a skill set, right? And that's something that I always, try to reflect on myself and pull out of people, because the time on the doors and the time building rapport, and also, and it's almost not even maybe the skills, but it's the understanding that it's a numbers game, right? You go knock 50 doors, you might not get someone, and then the 51st you knock, they're ready to buy, and it's just, but most people quit on the 50th. Or they quit on the 49th, and then they don't understand it's two more till you're going to get a sale. So, but from alarms, did could you build a team, or like how did that work in that
Yeah,
world?
yeah. I build a team. It's all built off culture. Culture's everything. And that's what I'm grateful for, the experience that I've had elsewhere. But that's just set me up for this opportunity now. I'm always, you find a lot of people with like egos and they want to run it their own way. I like taking knowledge from everyone. I like learning from everyone. Because there's always something that, like, I don't know everything. I'm making great money right now, but there's something that I could be doing better that could help grow my business 5 times. So alarms, I grew a team, but you can't, no one wants to do it summer after summer. You want something that's consistent, and I wake up every day and my calendar's booked every day. I'm grateful, Monday through Friday, talking to clients left and right. And it's people who want insurance, and I learned that you can't be nickeling and diming in this industry. The more you spend, the more you're going to make. And that's what I've realized, so I spend about $2,500 a week right now. And hopefully, I can spend 3,000, 3,500, the list just keeps going on and on and on.
That's awesome. I mean, yeah, you start to implement that, you're going to be able to really be cherry pick clients. You can do good CRMs with texts and emails, follow up, drip on them, and pull more stuff. And then you start doing your reviews down the road. And are you selling IULs yet, or what's your main lead type right now? What are you selling?
Everything's IULs.
Everything's IULs. Okay. You got
Yep.
your favorite? What's your favorite 1, 2, 3 carriers?
Mutual all the way.
Mutual all the way.
All the way.
Dylan Cumming. You love Dylan and Heather.
I love it.
Those are our reps over at Mutual.
Seriously, probably about 95% of my business right now is all through Mutual of Omaha.
Got it. You've already got the bonus knocked out then too. You know about their 10% bonus every quarter?
I don't even know about bonuses.
Oh, you got a 10% bonus coming at you, right? I believe it's 25 or 30 per quarter. Then you get an additional 10%. So that's one of the things I learned from Steve Giordano, is he's like, I got comp and I can sell, but these carriers give away free money too. So he'll go carrier to carrier to carrier and max out the bonus to make sure he gets his bonus. Like he might be at, 50,000 or 45,000 with Americo, and he'll make sure he hits 50. Now he'll make sure he hits 250 or 500 because he's just an animal. But that's one of the things that you get to take advantage of being an elite producer, is you can always work through a couple different carriers to increase your bonus. So Moo's got a great cash bonus they're going to give you for producing as well. So look forward to that. I think it pays out a month after the close of each quarter.
Well, I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, more money. It's great. It's great. Did you call? You're gonna call. You could go crazy this month and qualify for the Cancun trip too.
I didn't even know. I thought maybe I might have already qualified, but hey, if we got to qualify, we'll qualify.
That's good. I love it, Frankie. Okay, so all IULs. I want to get into that in a second, but let's talk about. Did you start with just IULs and see that, or did you try final expense and standard ethos, card abandonment, Benny leads? What did you start with? Or how did your, you're 2 months in, but I feel like you had some experience in insurance in the past, which allowed you, when you saw this, go ahead.
At a captive agency, I did.
Captive agency.
I did final expense.
Got it.
And it was a lot of captive agencies. I'm not talking bad about anyone. You could be putting your clients in a lot better position. And over here, the products are just, doors are wide open. Final expense, term, CBO. You got IULs. So I kind of just went straight into IULs. It makes the most sense for the client. You're putting them in the best position possible if they're healthy, and it's a product that just, it can't be beat in my eyes.
So let's keep going to that. I want to hear your sales points, but then we'll dig into your script in a second. But what do you when your client goes, can you tell me more about that? What are your, 3, 5, 7 tips or points you make sure you hit on IULs? Because I would think it's an amazing product, but not everybody knows what we know yet.
Yeah, no, totally. Everything that I do, by the way, is simplified issue. I don't deal with any, no solves, nothing like that at the end of the day. With IULs, I just, basically 5 to 10 minutes of the first phone call with the client, I'm just building rapport.
Okay.
Normally from call to close, it takes me about 20 to 25 minutes and I'm done with the whole entire application. They're out the door. They got their policy. So I guess like my sales process might be different than a lot of other people's. I don't actually use a script.
Okay.
Everything's off the top of my head. I kind of, made it my own way. But the first 5 to 10 minutes, I'm just letting the client know like, hey, who I am. I let them know, I send them over my website, my business card. I'm like, hey, I'm your guy for life. So I guess like the first 5 to 10 minutes, it's like, hey, he's, they're just figuring more out about me, and my past in the sales industry and stuff like that. And then rolling into the IUL, at the end of the day, a confused mind says no in sales.
Okay.
So it's keeping it super simple, super straight to the point. It grows at 8 to 12.5% on average. If there's even a poor year, I like to under promise and over deliver. They're going to get returns at 5.5 to 7%, which is more than most retirement accounts at the end of the day. So, and you have that 0% floor. So, you're never going to lose money on your investment. Third, you can always overfund the account. So you can treat it like a high yield savings account on steroids. So, you can put more money into the account and grow it at your free will. And then, I go into the borrowing aspect. You're basically borrowing from the death benefit and, your monthly premium is just going to help replenish what you took out over time. And clients at the end of the day love it. And, I harp on the living benefits. Living benefits are huge. At the end of the day, it is a life insurance policy. You ever get critical, chronic, or terminally ill, you're going to access up to, almost 80% of that, death benefit, lump sum tax free. And that creates a ton of value. And then at the end of the day, hey, if you pass away, Mr. Customer, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, your family's taken care of for their entire life. So it's an insurance policy that just can't be beat. And in my eyes, I wouldn't want to sell. I know a lot of people, their cream of the crop, is final expense. But if I can put the client in the best situation possible, I'm gonna go IUL all day. And that's why I use Mutual of Omaha as well. Everyone's familiar with it. I've probably had about, out of my $120,000 worth of business, I probably had about 5 chargebacks.
Wow.
And that was just off of insufficient funds. It's not the client saying, "Hey, we don't want the policy." I just had a client call me today, and they were like, "Hey, we missed our payment. Can you start our plan up again?" So I build a lot of when value exceeds cost, a transaction occurs every time.
That's great. That's great. So, okay, Frankie, you're just a machine right now. So so great benefits and describing the IUL. Anything you do to solidify the sale. So if we're at the end of the appointment, you get approved or, send under any, what are you sending? You doing a follow-up text? Are you doing a email? Are you calling them? You've staffed yet? Like, what are you doing to help solidify that business in case, they filled out a couple other forms on other companies' websites and they have agents that are calling after you?
Yeah.
What are you doing there?
Yeah. So 3 times during my sales process, I confirm the price 3 times. I solidify that they can afford it. That's number one. Number two, like let's say a client gives me a budget of like $400 to $500. I know a lot of agents, their eyes light up because they want to make that, that big sale. They want to max out the policy. Like I said, I like to under promise and over deliver. The beautiful thing about the IUL is that you can overfund it. So if a client gives me a budget of $500, I'm like, hey, let's start you off at $250. You can take what you can afford, that remainder that you wanted to throw in on top, and you can do it at your free will. That's why I sell a lot of simplified issue. I don't want to lock the client in for $400 or $500 or, north of that. And then, I'm responsible if they cancel. So I'm always looking out for the client's best interest. And at the end of the day, it makes sense, you know? And then, yeah, after my sale, I'll do a follow-up text with them, and about 48 hours before their payment comes out, I'll remind them, hey, your payment's coming out, in 48 hours. I'll reconfirm. And my retention's been, I've sold a lot of stuff everywhere. Like I said, captive agency, and, I've had a lot of cancels and stuff like that, but the past 2 months have been nothing but a breeze.
That's awesome. So You confirmed it. I love the price confirms, right? So just clarifying, Betty, $267 a month is okay. Dishwasher breaks, you get a leak in the roof, you're not going to have an issue paying that.
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
And we can always start lower, and you can always add on in the future. That's the beautiful thing about it.
Good. Down close. And so did the follow a touch? Are you sending a text at, like, with the policy number? Do you send an email? Do you do thank you cards? Anything like that?
Yep. So every week I go to the post office and I'll ship out thank you cards and then I'll actually attach their policy number and premium on the bottom of it.
Okay.
So that way they know it. Yeah, yeah. So everything's been working out good. And like I said, retention is just such a important part of the business. And I feel it gives me more pride to know that my clients truly, at the end of the day, like working with me.
Of course. I mean, that's it. I mean, I try to coach agents. I'm like, treat your clients like you would want to be treated, right? If you just bought something for $200 a month, would you want to never hear from the person again? Or would you want a thank you card or a follow-up message, or, a card on your birthday, whatever, touch points to let you know that you're being thought of, regardless if it's automated or not, from this business entity. But at the same standpoint, that I'm now thinking of this business entity. So as I progress around my life and engage with other people, married, not married, kids, no kids, I think life insurance, I go, you got to talk to my guy, Frankie, right? That's good business taking care of it. So,
yeah, and I let my clients know at the end of the day, like, hey, I'm not trying to make this transaction and then you never speak to me. I'm like, you guys can call me whenever you want. Like every day I probably get a call from another client, that I've helped out, just, asking me questions, checking up, maybe they forgot something. And I'm like, hey, that's what I'm here for. So at the end of the day, it's like, I'm in their corner, like I give them the keys. They do whatever they want. I'm just there to provide them with the service. And that's what they love about it.